You're live. Okay. So I'm working on my article. I wanted to get a great way anytime if you're feeling anything like what I was feeling recently in the last few hours or so. Um, so I'll tell you what I was feeling. I was feeling slighted. I was feeling defeated. I was feeling just all over like kind of helpless. Okay. Surrender and acceptance are the answers to all of our questions, right? When there's nothing that we can do about it, um, I think it's best to not sit into it or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So I decided I wanted to be of service. If anybody is going to open a yoga studio, this video should help them. One of the questions for my article, excuse me, obstacles and challenges. Is the exact question? The question cracked me up. It was like, has your road to success been smooth? I was like, I actually went to the website of the magazine and it's my third time doing an article for them, but I went to the website and like, whatever, I'm going to be a feature, whatever. So I went to the other features and I was like, did anyone answer this question? Like, it was a smooth ass ride. What? Let me see. I wasn't here. Organized as usual. So this is going to serve two purposes. One is going to be to cut the fat in my head out of what I'm going to write. And the other, hopefully, if anyone's planning on opening a yoga studio or want to open a yoga studio, I'll tell you some of the things that I learned that you can avoid and that can be easy. Lambros! What's up, Lord of Eldron? Hey, Ashley. Oh, Lord of Eldron, did you ask me? Were you the one that asked me about the 5 Tibetans? I know about them. The one that I know the most, anyone can look up the 5 Tibetans, by the way. The 5 Tibetans, I know them as the 5 Tibetans. So they're 5 exercises that you can do, apparently, supposedly, every single day. And that's all you will ever need to do. The one I used to teach in class, I'll show you, Lord Eldron. Was it you, first of all? If it wasn't you, I'm like, I do this right now. Are you doing breathing? Good. I need to get on a breathing video. What's up, Jorge? Is it George or Jorge? One of the 5 Tibetans goes like this. It's pretty easy, so I can show you. You put your feet like this, and you make like a tabletop position. Yeah? See? And it's inhale, and then you exhale your butt through your arms. And then you inhale your hips up, and exhale through. Like that. That's one of the 5 Tibetans, and the one I know most intimately. Another one I think is neck rolling. And then there's one that she does like with her whole body. There's a great video. If you Google the 5 Tibetans, you'll find it. Okay. Obstacles and challenges to building a yoga studio. Let's remember before I get into this that a yoga studio is a business, right? Just like a bookstore, just like a cake shop, just like a cookie store. There's a great book called I always fuck up that word. Pendy! See, Pendy? Still standing. Entrepreneurial Myth. Okay? That's what it's called. E-Myth, actually. E-Myth. It's a great book. And why I want to open with bringing that book up is because he brought up a really great point that I encountered in the first yoga studio I started, first business, and the second. A lot of people, especially small businesses specifically, will start a business because they love what they do and they want to work for themselves, right? So I think in the book he talked about a cookie maker, a woman that makes cookies. So she opens her cookie shop. And so what happens when you open up a business based on something that you love or have a lot of passion, like what I did with yoga? You have to understand that what you're creating, be it a cookie, be it a yoga class, becomes a product at this point, right? Let me just read my notes and then ask me questions if you have any. Hi. Yay, Sonar in the house. What's up, Angela? I'm back. Angela and I were here earlier. It was just us. Okay, obstacles, challenges, opening a yoga studio. But let's remember, I'm doing for the article, and for all intents and purposes, I feel like people would benefit from a video from me because I've had experience in this field. But let's remember, a yoga studio is the same as, for all intents and purposes, when we come to the business aspect of it, it's the same as, well, I'll get into the McDonald's thing. Wait for it, Wendy. So build out, be committed, build out. So first, before build out, I can believe I didn't write this. Finding a space, finding the space for your business, right? That's a huge part of it. Finding a space. My hair like flew in my face. Finding a space, and then finding also. So most likely you'll be in like a commercial real estate situation, right? Which is a different kind of lease than a rent, like your apartment or whatever. So making sure that you look through the lease, and that it works for you. A lot of time, like, so for the first studio I had, Just Breathe, we had a 3-year lease, but it went up every year. You're right. So know that most small businesses, according to the E-Myth, and I think this is probably still true, if not more true, unfortunately, since 2020, most small businesses should not even expect to get any money back for 3 years minimum. Another fact in that book is that most small businesses, 95% in fact, fail in the first 2. So the fact that these commercial real estate people are increasing the rent after year 1. I remember going in there like, yo, I'm just getting fucking rolling, dude. Like, I can now pay rent and like pay my teachers and breathe. Like, what are you talking about? So looking out for that kind of stuff. So once you find the space, obviously, and then build out. So like for me, I painted all the walls in both studios. Like the only things I didn't do were like electrical stuff, things that I was not obviously going to be good at doing probably. Okay, build out. Be committed. Expect every inconvenience and obstacle to come up at the most inopportune times. So like during build out, when you're like sleeping 4 hours a night, painting the walls, like meeting with all this stuff, like expect every annoying thing to happen at the most annoying times and plan accordingly. And just like be chill about it, you know? There's a lot that I learned from my first studio to my second studio. Okay, expect to teach no one. Okay, so this is back to just yoga. I'll go back to, we're going micro to macro, micro to macro. Expect to teach no one. Privates or very small classes for at least a year. And consistency is the most important thing. Being a consistent, like people show up to a class and they get, like, we have to remember any habit, a good or a bad one, will be created in 28 days. So if a person, I've seen this, they come Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday to your 6:30 p.m. class for a month or so, they'll most likely, it'll be in their thing to keep coming. But if they're showing up and every other Thursday you have a sub or whatever, you're not there, the class is canceled, that you don't build classes that way. I'm a master at building classes. Oh, somebody said, I think it was Zaire. He said, anybody studying this long in anything is a master. And I was like playing around with that, or it made me laugh. But when I watched the chat replay today, I was like, this is very important, very important. The master always remains a teacher. Okay. Something like this. You guys know the quote. Any master remains a teacher. Something like this. Like, so I'm grounded in being a very teachable person. I have everything to learn. So expect no one to be there. Doesn't matter how much you put into marketing, doesn't matter how much you put into your website, doesn't matter how much hype you have. It just takes a minute. Okay, balance. This is specific to yoga. Balance in yourself what the difference between the business of yoga is and yoga is to you. Because if you open a yoga studio, sorry. If you open a yoga studio and you're a yoga teacher, it's not just like, okay, I'll tell you from the first experience I had. I'm the kind of person, by the way, that, and this, they talk about the, what's his name that wrote the E-Myth? Starts with a G, I think. He talks about this a lot. Having this idea that you're just going to open up this business and all the money's going to flow just from your craft. It does not work like this as well. And this was a little bit, it took me a minute to get through this, a year maybe or more. I went back and forth with it. Once you open a yoga studio, your yoga classes become a product. So you're selling a product. So if you're the owner and also like the main attraction or the main teacher, the people, you know, whatever, it becomes, you have to, like, I wrote some suggestions here, but you have to, it's imperative. At the end of Agni, like the last year, I had a girl that was, well, in Just Breathe, I had a girl that was, you have to have non-yoga people around you. If you're like a hardcore yogi for real, you have to have non-yogis doing your books, non-yogis at the desk, ideally, and non-yogis pretty much like there, just around, like managing, I would say. Because I'm not saying, okay, I'm a very unique kind of yogi. A lot of like yogi people are like very like kind of new, and they say love and light every other word, and they're not paying attention to stuff. And it's like, that can get frustrating when you're running a fucking business. It does not work at all. I can't tell you how many times I walked into my studio and like a teacher and a manager are like talking at the fucking desk where people are supposed to be giving you money. And I'm like, and people are waiting in line to give money. And like Amber and Brittany are talking about, you know, whatever, Vinny's class or some stupid shit. So you can't have that kind of stuff. So balancing yourself with the differences between the business of yoga and yoga. I felt very often I'm also the type of person that like, and this is what he touched on in the book. I feel like if it's not done by me, it's not going to be done correctly. And like, so there's like a certain level of like having to let, and like finding proper people to fill positions. But like I was very compromised. There were so many times and so many classes, I was just like, my class that I'm teaching, which is holding up the studio, right? Like it's Ashley Cummings Agni Yoga in that case or whatever, is like, it's not the last thing that's on the priority list. It's like, I know I can do it really well. So for whatever reason, subconsciously, I would like feel like, you know, shit wouldn't be done, right? Taxes have to go in, this has to go in, that has to go in, teachers like slacking, you have to manage people, you have to be like kind of a babysitter basically to however many teachers you have. But that, I take that responsibility on me. Another thing I wrote is like have on like expectations, like an agreement for your teachers and stuff. There were too many times when like, I feel like the line between like friends and boss and teacher were like, and it was my fault because I was the person that should have made the boundary. But it's kind of funny with like yoga and stuff. Like, and again, I'm not like, I was an ambassador. I had a corporate sponsorship with Lululemon, but I'm not like I can't really stand those people. Okay. Yoga becomes a product that you are selling. So there's that. I recommend having a not yogi do your desks, books, be a manager, watch over things. There's a couple of things. First of all, yoga teachers that work in your studio are always going to want more classes and more like, they're going to be more focused on like, not even, I wish I could say I felt in Miami. I'm telling you, Miami was a much stronger, like soul-centered, like heart-centered yoga community than I feel LA is. That's a totally different video. But yoga teachers that work for you in a studio will always be wanting to have more classes or wanting to, what's the word I'm looking for? Lift themselves up for themselves, right? It's rare that you'll find somebody that's like dedicated to the studio and not like just forwarding themselves more in their own whatever they want to do. Get to the point where you have support on the business side so you don't compromise your growth. I touched on this as a teacher or as the presence energetically at the studio. So like for me, especially with Agni, like it was Ashley Cummings Agni Yoga, you know what I mean? And this the first year was like it was a lot, whatever. But when my dad, I opened in 2014. My dad's stroke was 2015. So it was like, I'm not going to write that as one of my obstacles. I just feel like no one wants to hear about it. And I want to make it like for people that are like reading. I went through some other feature articles in the recent in the magazine, and I just want to like provide helpful stuff from my experience, not, you know what I mean? Marketing. Okay. Word of mouth is always the most powerful. I'll answer questions if you guys have any. Hi, Gail. I found with business, you need a damn good accountant. Yep. And a tax person that can make, and you have to trust them. I don't know. Okay. Hi, Sumati. Gail. I know, Gail. Ryan. Look. They didn't get me. Yeah, they do that for us dancers and psychics. Which thing, babe? Sorry, I'm a little bit down on the chat. What's up, Dave H? Say what? Okay. I feel like what Ryan's saying is test my psychic abilities. I was just fixing my contacts. I feel like what Ryan might be saying is something about, hi, Cynthia. Love you. I was going to email you today. I'm going to email you after this, actually. So let me think of some other things off the cuff. If anybody is like opening a studio or wants to know about the business of yoga, it's a topic of discussion, but you know, we're loose here. LYMMM more. Cynthia, it's really funny because when my dad's stroke happened, Dumb Cummings was whatever. At one point, like, so that was me and my dad's thing, right? LYM. And he texted me one time, LUM, like mirroring or copying like dad and me, like trying to make, I was like, doesn't work like that. They made a Jeopardy reference today about coming from behind. Cynthia. Well, you have to explain that to Cynthia. That's very funny. LYM means love you more. So I love Cynthia the most, times infinity plus one. So the acronym is love, LYM, love you more. But she seems to think that she can win, which it's not gonna happen. It's okay. Business of yoga. Okay. Oh, then, well, I'll just tell you guys a little bit about, I guess, some things as a teacher that I've learned. Okay. We'll just keep going. So we will continue. The most effective way I've found to grow my classes, besides being an amazing teacher, which came in time, right? I was going to say last night, there was like a lot of things I thought about. So I do this thing called 10th step before I go to sleep. And I kind of review my day and just sort of like what I remember and whatever. And think about what I can do better the next day, or what I could have done better that the day that I'm thinking about it that night. So please know, Angela, you asked in the chat, how long did it take me to become a yoga teacher? Not long enough. The RYT 200 which is your foundational program. Oh, wow. Ryan, this brings me into the Ashley Cummings, Ryan Miller Non-Yoga Alliance. We're just going to call it the Non-Yoga Alliance for short. There's one governing body of yoga. It's called the Yoga Alliance. For your RYT 200, which is your foundational teacher training, which is the one that gives you by Yoga Alliance the right whatever. Basically, what yoga studios were able to charge $2,800 a training for was this piece of paper that was certified by the Yoga Alliance. I had to write my manual. I told you guys about that. So I'm telling you, by like, I don't even know how many trainings I've done. Just Breathe was probably 30. Agni was probably 45. So like 80 or so teacher trainings. There's only 2 people I didn't graduate. Maybe 3. Like the 3 being like people that dropped out, or 4. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Oh, Yoga Non-Alliance. Okay, so the RYT 200, as I continued to do trainings, I was like, I don't have enough time to prepare these people. Hence, like, okay, so you have 200 hours. It's called that for a reason. It's 200 hours. And in those 200 hours, you have to cover certain topics. And then in these, so you have to have like, I'm throwing out numbers here, but like 4 hours. There's like, I don't know, like 36 hours, I believe, in anatomy, but certain amount of hours can be energetic anatomy, i.e. chakras, system. Then you have to have this amount of hours in history of yoga, this amount of whatever. And then they redid it in 2013. I had to redo my whole manual. Oh my God. I said to this girl that was helping me, I was like, I feel like I'm a yogi being put in a box, you know, because they had all these new things, which, okay, if you have 10 or 12 weeks to do, and a lot of people do it over that time, Saturdays and Sundays are just easy for people to do it. To do this teacher training and literally prepare someone to go out and work with fucking human bodies. It's not enough. And also, don't force us to teach history of yoga. That's not going to help them work with bodies. A whole bunch of other stuff I thought was super unnecessary. Hence, the Yoga Non-Alliance coming to a city and the world around you very soon. So that so I told you, I mentioned to you guys, there's if you saw the video yesterday, there's a practical exam, which is part of the teacher training. It's optional actually for RYT 200 Yoga Alliance as of 2017. I made it mandatory and allocated like as much time as I could. Like that's when people can, like, the whole point of it, and my idea, and I always told my trainees, I want you guys, the first class you guys will ever go to teach, it's like you have it in your pocket. You're so fucking confident, you know? The whole point, besides like it's helpful for them, it's part of the curriculum, but to actually like have done your first yoga class. So then when you go out there and teach your first yoga class, you know, like you've kind of done one, and in a very supportive, like loving environment where you're getting positive feedback. I would always say write 3 things that they could. So the whole class would take the practical, write 3 things that they were phenomenal at, and 3 things that they could improve in. You know, and don't short yourself on the improvement parts. Like those are going to be the most helpful things when they go out there, right? I don't think even me prepared one person to go out there and teach. I was a horrible yoga teacher. I actually had no business being around bodies by the time when I graduated that class. Like, I mean, yeah, my heart, my soul was like very sweet, and like, yeah, like I wasn't gonna like, you know what I mean? But it's experience. Thing is, especially with teaching yoga, it's experience. It's being around bodies. It's experiencing stuff in your own bodies. Yesterday, I was saying, I want to clarify this as well. I was saying that once you become like an authentic yoga teacher, it's not an alter ego thing. More clearly, I think, or I'll speak for myself, the person or the not the layer of me, it's not like my subtle body, but like the Ashley that, and it's not a different Ashley than me. It's just the teacher Ashley that absorbed all this information and also felt for myself all this information, is able to like use all this information to help others. Like when I'm in a class with people, human bodies in it, it's the most free I ever am. I tell this to people all the time. I don't think about myself. I don't think about anything about me. I'm just laser focused on people's bodies and the shapes and where they might be hold. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then also because I've taught so many classes to so many human beings, I've like found a rhythm within myself. Like you'll just kind of know, you'll feel an energy about things too. Like you walk into a room and once you're confident enough that you know what you're doing, you can feel, so that's where like accents come in. And I think like also me having a history or a past in coaching gymnastics, like snapping and yella yella. Well, the yella is Arabic, but stick, point, like all that kind of stuff. I remember actually in my practical that Fred Bush um, graded or whatever, in my first RYT in 2006, a girl, so I copied him in this, named 3 things that the person did well and 3 things that they can improve on. And I remember this girl, I don't even know who she was and whatever. She was probably a really nice girl, but she's like, this is how I remember it. Just because you're standing in front of like 22 people who are like giving you like feedback, and it's like, I was like nervous and I felt like I did great. I mean, I didn't feel like I did great, but I felt like I was proud of myself. I didn't forget anything. I didn't forget any breath. She's like, this is just my impression. She was probably not anything like this. So Fred will be like, yes. I didn't really appreciate all the loud clapping and noises that she made. And I'm like a coach, you know what I mean? Like that's just like in my thing. Inhale, exhale, like my first like probably 100 classes probably felt like some kind of yoga gymnastics fusion. But I'll never forget Fred, who I was so afraid of like him saying like you're right or something like this. He goes, "No, what Ashley's doing is great. You want to have different noises. You want to have different things. You want to keep people present." Blah blah blah. What's up? His royal doodliness. Did you jog today? Yes, I still teach yoga. I teach yoga now at Venice Beach, on the beach. I'll save my joke for another time. As well, Yoga Expo's back. Sans, an individual that kind of killed Yoga Expo for me. So I'll tell you guys more about that when I know more about that. But January 2023, Los Angeles Convention Center. You, Yoga Expo, and me. It's not jogging. I'm kidding. Can you read people's body language? Totally. Really well. Definitely. But absolutely when you're teaching yoga. So just a couple quick things. Hold on, Dan J. I have a question, guys. Do you think when you cry, it makes you lose like a substantial amount of water in your body? Random, I just thought of that. Can you read people's body language really well to teach yoga? See if they are tense and parts of the body? 100%. So you can see where everyone's holding anything in a yoga pose or in the class. I always used to say to people, you can lie to my face, it probably won't work, but get into my yoga room, there's nothing you can hide from me. So there's something called like chair pose. The arms will be like this, shoulders should be relaxed. Yeah. People will be like this. What does that look like? Fear, protection, right? You'll see where people are holding stuff in their bodies. So we hold on to trauma, drama, all kinds of stuff in our connective tissue. So people with super tight hips, that will tell me something. Their shoulders are probably tight and vice versa. That's usually emotional stuff. It can go up and down. I always told trainees, wait to touch people. Like besides just like when they're in downward dog, hi, I know that you're here. I always said, let every person in your class know that you know they're here. Does that make sense? So even if it's just like a little touch on the low back and the upper back, hi, thanks for coming to class, whatever. But don't touch people until you know their bodies a little. Let them come to your class for a month or at least 4 classes. But yes, absolutely. So you can see where people stick their chests out, and a lot of times that is could be a few things. When people have their chests out is like so to me it depends. I'll tell you more this. So this can be guys that do body lifting, really big guys. You'll see like their hearts cave in. So this is problematic for so many reasons. First of all, their muscles are like literally coming into their chests, so their heart's not working properly. It could also be a sign of straight up heart disease. I can't tell you how many like big ass dudes I was like, dude, you shouldn't do downward dog at all ever. They're like, thank you so much. I'm like, it makes zero sense for you. Um, but yeah, you can see where people hold stuff. And Sumati knows this. Everyone's always hiding or protecting. What is it, Sumati? Protecting what is like vulnerable, right? So fear looks one way, insecurity, it's kind of tied into fear. Um, what else can you see immediately? I mean, you can see just how the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So the way you move on your yoga mat is most likely the way that you move in your life. I've always found that to be true. So you'll see people kind of like move fast and then one of my favorite things was like seeing new people come to yoga and they're like, I'm gonna do this yoga thing, and then move their feet so fast and reach their arms up. Yeah, got my arms up, everyone else's arms up. Cool. Now I'm down. And then seeing their like progression where they realize that it's not about the destination, it's always about the journey, and like moving smoother in their bodies, and then like realizing that they start to move smoother in their lives. So I used to talk about this a lot. One of the really more valuable points, if you will, of taking a yoga class, like an hour and a half vinyasa class or power yoga, whatever, is that you get to experience things that feel stressful. The body will always move towards comfort, away from discomfort. You get to experience things like when I'm telling you to do a bunch of these core exercises and your stomach's on fire and it's not comfortable. And your mind says, I don't want to do this anymore. My belly hurts. I've never, ever heard of a superficial abdominal muscle injury. Not once in almost 18 years, 17 years of teaching yoga. So this is a situation that I'll put people in and say, yeah, I know that it's not comfortable. I know that it's the opposite of what your mind wants to be in right now, where your stomach is on fire. But can you understand that this is just what getting strong feels like? Also, can you even entertain maybe rewiring your mind that, oh, this is a tough situation. This is not comfortable, but I can smile and feel grateful and keep going anyway. And then when the inevitable happens, like you have like some fender bender or something happens in life, which it tends to do, even if it's not subconscious, your subconscious brain will remember like, oh, I did this tough thing and I got through it. I even smiled and it was fine. You know what I mean? So it lessens our reaction time. So yoga is a system designed to liberate you from your thinking mind. And I would say, to take it a bit further, discipline the drunken monkey, which is what the old yogis and like Patanjali called the thinking mind. Yoga chitta vrita naroda. Yoga is the cessation of the modifications natural to the thinking mind. So yoga happens when the thoughts stop. And yoga is not poses, right? Yoga is Cameron Chang called it a lifestyle. I don't know if I call it a lifestyle. It's just it's a series of choices or opportunities that you can take as many or as little as you want to incorporate into your life. Always for the intention of being more in alignment with your highest selves. I don't want to sound too like love and light. See, now that's my thing. I won't be love and light. Or to your deepest knowledge, or like, it's really whatever. I just remember this one video, like, it was when we first opened Ogni, and I was like, "This is a place you can come and explore as self-exploration." It can go and some people don't want to self-explore, you know what I mean? I've learned this too. Some people are very happy just doing their own thing or whatever, um, or not doing anything, or just going along with whatever's going along, right? But I've always been very, interested in learning about myself and other people and stuff like that. Why do we feel comfortable in fear? Pendipu. Why do we feel comfortable in fear? Because we've been trained to. Say if you have to keep putting shoulders down. Just wondering. It's an excellent question, Wendy. Our bodies, okay, so the body will never lie to you. It does not know how, very literally. So when someone is like this is protection, right? Um, I used to see this one woman, she's a Grinberg therapist. Grinberg, the Grinberg method is called. In the first half of our session, I would sit there and she'd say, talk to me about what's going on. And I'd be, no, 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 my dad's, and I would literally, and she would actually stop, don't move anything. Like what? She's like, just look at your body. I would have no idea. And my left shoulder would always be like up to my ear. Like my mouth would always be all fucked up. She was like, you have to be aware. So we're not aware a lot of our bodies. The more that we can, uh, yoga helps with that a lot, right? But yeah, realize it. Like I was training like boxing recently, and my friend, well, slash trainer was like, I can't believe how much you keep your shoulders down, you know? And I think it's just because I messed my shoulders up, right? A lot from this and this. And I think now I'm just like always aware to like, I still deal with like neck stuff. Apparently sleeping leg stuff too. I was like, oh gosh, why were you listening to the news? Ambrose, what's happening? I was listening to the news during the COVID shutdown. I'm like afraid to even say that word still. And put the water in the grounds where the water goes. While making coffee, listening to a can ruin the coffee maker. Wait. Oh, Lambros, I was like, why did you put the coffee? I was like visualizing you were doing this in your backyard. Like grounds of coffee. I get it. Yes. So the left side is the feminine side. The right side is the masculine side. Also, just for fun, right side is the side that gives. That's the giving side. Left side is the side that receives. Okay, I hope that was helpful. I love you guys and thank you for being here. I think I'm going to go play pool because that's my new jam right now. Speaking of fear, it screws up. Okay, fear is a liar. 90% of what we fear in life will never come to pass. This is a fact. For all y'all in the back, 90% of what you're afraid of or will fear to come will never happen or come. We have Penny. Did you see there's new? Oh my God, I watched the end of Handmaid's Tale. Give me it. Thanks for being there for me today, Wendy. You guys too. And I'll always like come back to the questions. I appreciate that you guys ask whenever the chat's available. Okay. Late. Thanks for being here. Au revoir. I always think I'm saying bye when I'm not. Bye.